Welcome everyone to this May 15th, 2024 weekly webinar, Processing Back to School Online Registration Submissions. Like I said, welcome to our webinar today. My name is Rachel Cox. I am on the support to training team here at JMC. I've been with JMC a little over a year. I come from a background of a little over 10 years of teaching and then a few years as an elementary administrator. And today I'm joined by Amy Bemis. Amy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Rachel. I live in Southwest Iowa, and I've been with JMC since the fall. I'm a client services specialist right now. I was a high school guidance counselor last, but prior to that, many moons ago, I was also an elementary teacher. So I was in education for 33 years.
All right, thanks so much. And thanks for being with us today, Amy. All right, we're going to talk about streamlining your registration data submissions. So this is the third installment of our back to school registration series. So if you missed the first two, don't worry, they're on our YouTube training channel, so you can catch them as well. But in this final installment of our back to school series, we're going to walk you through reviewing, accepting, rejecting, and tracking submissions through the registration progress dashboard to ensure all your students are good to go for the year. You'll learn shortcuts for merging data and saving you from manually entering your registration data. If you have any questions, go ahead, throw them in the chat. Amy's going to be watching that for us, and we will address those questions at the end of each section of this webinar. So we'll start by reviewing submitted back to school registration information. So we will begin with the student information. During online registration, families can submit new and changed information for their students. Office staff can approve or reject the changes in JMC Office with the click of a button to permanently store the submitted information as part of the student's records. So to get started, log into JMC Office and head to JMC Family, Online Registration, Merge Data, Student Data. And I'll show you too when we get to that live look. You get those alerts on your home screen, so you can either take this path or click right on that alert and it'll take you here. So I'll show you what I mean when we get to those live looks. So the first step, select a student to review from the modified students list in the upper left. Helpful tip: when selecting a student, the changes submitted by the family will be displayed in the proposed modifications list for easy review. So anything that they change, they might change about their student when families are filling out that registration information, it shows up for you as a proposed modification. So you office users, you always have the final say in which data you're choosing to keep. The next step, verify that you agree with that proposed modification list and accept that change. A helpful tip, simply uncheck any checkbox to prevent that specific change from updating in JMC, and then all other proposed modifications will update. So let's say I wanted to keep this change here, this modification, but not this one. I would just have to uncheck anything I didn't want to accept, and then I can click that accept button. A fun fact, if the family entered a note with the submission, it's going to appear right up here in this note from a parent field. Step 3, click the accept button to save the changes to the student's record. Or if you don't want to accept any of those changes, you can click the reject button to ignore those proposed changes. Step 4, click the print button to create a copy of the current student's proposed changes for future reference. Few helpful tips here. You can select the not finished list or the finished list quick links to see which families have completed or started the registration process. So you got these quick links here over to the right. You can see the not finished list as well as the finished list. And you can click the print or export button while viewing those lists to print that list for later reference, or you can save it as a CSV file to your computer as well. So we'll take a live look here at reviewing student information. So maybe just a quick refresher here. I'm going to hop over really quick to JMC Family to just remind you where that data is coming from. So when families log in, they are on the family home screen. They can come down here, register for 24-25. And then this is where they start this or continue the registration process. So they'll get check marks when they have completed those fields, but they start that registration process. They walk through submitting their student data, their personal contact data, emergency contacts, health information. So this is where families go to submit all of their data. And then it comes here into the office. And this is what I was talking about. You get these alerts on your JMC homepage. So we're going to start by looking at the student submissions. So I'm going to click pending student submissions. And as I was saying, it's the same path here in the menu tree, but clicking on that quick link is just going to automatically take you there. So as I said, you've got all of these students here who have modified changes. So as parents were going through the registration process, they made some changes, and the office pros then get to decide which changes to accept and which ones to ignore. So I'm going to come down here to my test student, Maeve, and this is where I have proposed modifications. So it shows you what this was changed to. So the change was not set and it changed to no. So it shows you what it had been set at before, what that data field had been set at before, and then it shows you what the parent changed it to as they were doing the registration. So this was changed, and then the change was no, and it changed to yes. So the other thing that you can see here is if parents have a note that they want to share about their student, you're going to see this right here in the note from parent field. So you get any information that the parents want to share with you that you would need to know about that student at the beginning of the school year. And if we're okay with all of those changes, I just keep these boxes checked. And once I hit accept, it becomes part of that student's record. And you can see I no longer have that student on my list of modified students. And then over here are those quick links that'll take me to the list of families who have not finished their registration and a list of those who have. So I'm going to go ahead and click my finish list here. I can see who's done. I can export it. I can print it, or same thing, not finished. We got a longer list here. So I know as I was accepting registration submissions when I worked in the office, I always use these. I liked to know who was done and okay, keeping tabs. How many do we have left? Are there, as you're getting closer to the end of that registration window, knowing, okay, I got to contact these families and make sure that they get that registration submitted. So that is it for accepting student information. Do we have any questions about reviewing student information?
No, we don't at this time.
All right. Anything you want to add, Amy?
Just, I mean, I love those quick links. That's a great place to be able to go to. You know, you don't have to hunt around. Those things on the right side, those quick links, they are invaluable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Then we'll keep on moving if we don't have any questions about student information, and we'll look at reviewing contact information. During online registration, families submit new and revised information for their students, and office staff can approve or reject those changes. In JMC Office, the contact data page is where office staff will review each family's parent contact submission and decide to accept it into the student's record or to reject or ignore it. The proposed modification to the contact's record will be displayed for each contact submission. So again, you go to JMC Office, you want to navigate to Family, Online Registration, Merge Data, Contact Data to start approving those submissions. And again, you can follow that path in the menu tree there, or you can click on that update on your JMC homepage. Step 1, select a contact to review from the modified contacts list in the upper left box. Helpful tip, when selecting a contact, the contacts changes will be displayed again in those proposed modifications. Like I said, Office pros, you got the last day and all of those modifications. Step 2, verify that you agree with the information submitted in the proposed modifications list to accept this change. Helpful tip, again, you can simply uncheck any checkbox to prevent that specific change from updating. So if you want some of the changes to occur and not others, just pick and choose which ones you want. Fun fact, if the family entered a note with the submission, it's going to appear again in your note from the parent field. Step 3, click the accept button to save the changes to the student's record, or click the reject button to ignore all proposed changes. That should actually be to the student's record, but the changes are for that student's contacts. And step 4, click the print button to create a copy for future reference. So we'll take a live look at reviewing contact information, but you can see it kind of follows the same cadence. So if you see how you bring in your student information, you're like, okay, I think I got this. The parent information, kind of the same thing. So I'm going to go to my home screen and I'm going to see right here, I've got pending contact submissions. So I'm going to go ahead and click there. And again, it took me to that same path. So I got attendance, contacts, merge contact submission. And I'm going to look at myself here and I can see I've got a note from the parent. It's the same note that we saw on the student side, but it's just that double check that you're getting all the information that the family wants to share with you. Proposed modifications, I updated a phone number, so I want to go ahead and accept that as an office user. I'm going to go ahead and accept my change, and then you'll see it automatically selected the next parent in the list or the next contact in the list. So you can get through these pretty quickly as they're coming in. If you got 20 of these waiting for you in the morning, you can kind of click through because it'll automatically select the next parent in the list, and you can accept or reject as you're working through them. So like I said, pretty straightforward process, very similar to how you accept those student submissions. Do we have any questions on reviewing contact information?
Oops, something just popped up. After you accept the changes, does that parent note reflect anywhere to have in their record?
That's a great question. So if you are in attendance, contacts, edit contacts, you'll see right here, note from a parent. That's where it stays. So let me type in the one that we were looking at here. And you can see my note was, may have got new glasses, and it stays here in the contact record. Great question. All right, any other questions before we move on?
There's not from them, but I'm just a little clarification. So maybe I'm putting you on the spot. When would you reject something that they had entered? Because, they typed it in. So what sort of thing would be rejected?
That's a great question. Sometimes if you have if you've got a student who maybe has a 2-family household and parent A has submitted information and parent B has submitted information, both for the student, and you maybe have some conflicting details, you may want to just clarify with parents. So I would maybe reject that until I got some clarification, just because one parent is saying one thing, one parent is saying another. So that might be an example when you want to do that. Trying to think of anything else. If you wanted to, again, verifying addresses, especially if you're thinking about enrollment districts and that kind of thing. So maybe you want to reject pieces of information until you have a chance to follow up, or if you want to reject the whole thing and then reach out to a parent for clarification, just to make sure that your records are as accurate as they can be. Does that answer your question, Amy?
That makes sense. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. That was a good question too. Thanks. All right. Then we're going to take a look at reviewing emergency contact information. When using the online registration system, families can submit new or revised information for their students' emergency contacts. Office staff can then review each emergency contact submission and decide whether to accept it into the student's record or reject it. If approved, the emergency contact information will become a part of the student's records. So again, in JMC Office, we're going to navigate to family, online registration, merge data, emergency contact data to start approving those emergency contacts. Step 1, select an emergency contact from the new, modified or new emergency contacts list in the upper left corner. Helpful tip, when selecting an emergency contact, the contact changes will be displayed in the proposed new emergency contact for student, and it'll show your student's name there for easy review. So it'll show the student, but then it lets you know who that, or I'm sorry, it shows you the emergency contact, but it also tells you which student it would be tied to, because those names might not always really clearly go together. Step 2, select an existing contact from the possible existing contacts list if the submitted emergency contact matches a contact already created in your JMC Office data to avoid creating duplicate contacts. So this is a really great feature, actually. especially if you're in a small town where you have a lot of people who are related to each other. So, you know, if I had kids in my school and my sister also had kids in the school, she might list me as an emergency contact for her kiddos, but I'm already a contact in JMC. So rather than creating duplicate contacts, JMC automatically can detect if it looks like a duplicate contact and says, hey, this might be the person you're already trying to enter here. And then you can just go ahead and select that possible existing contact, and it will tie the existing contact record as an emergency contact to the selected student. So that's a great feature there. Step 3, click the accept button to save the changes to the student's record, or click the reject button to ignore all proposed changes to a student's record. So we'll take a live look at reviewing emergency contact information. All right, so I'm going to start from home here. I'm going to come to JMC Family, online registration, merge data, and I'm going to be looking at that emergency contact data. All right, so right here, I've got an emergency contact, and the proposed new emergency contact is for this student. So if the last names didn't match, if you weren't quite sure where that relationship was, it shows you the student's name here. And this is a new emergency contact. So I can just double check. I've got a name, I've got an address. Well, it doesn't look like I have an email address. Maybe I'd want to reach out if I thought that was important. I've got a phone number, but it doesn't look like it's a duplicate contact. I don't see a possible existing contact here. So I'm good to go. I'm going to go ahead and accept it. And again, it automatically goes back to that first one here in the list. And then you can work your way through all of those emergency contacts as well. So similar process, but I really love that double check to make sure that you're not creating duplicate contacts in the system. Any questions about emergency contacts?
I don't see any at this time.
All right. Then we'll talk about reviewing that health information. The Merge Student Health Submissions page in JMC Office is where office users will review each family's health custom field submission and decide to accept it into the student's health record or to reject it. As families finish the registration process, their health custom field answers queue up and await your approval before being stored permanently in the student's records. So in JMC Office, head to Health, Health Custom Fields, Merge Student Health Submissions to get started. The first step, select a student to review from the modified students list in the upper left. Helpful tip, when selecting a student, the family's health custom fields changes for the student will be displayed in the proposed modifications list for easy review. So you can notice a lot of the same steps throughout so that you know this procedure. It's the same way. We've got the modified changes. I go ahead, I take a look at my review, I accept or I reject or accept parts of it. So kind of uniform throughout so that it makes this whole process very streamlined. Step 2, verify that you agree with the information submitted in the proposed modifications list to accept your changes. And again, just uncheck any of those checkboxes that you might not want to include in the student's record or approve. Step 3, click the accept button to save the changes to the student's record, or click that reject button to ignore all of the proposed changes. Helpful tip, click the print button to create a copy of the current student's proposed changes for future reference. So we'll take a live look at reviewing back to school health information. All right, so again, I'm going to come to my home screen, and I do have an alert here saying that I have 3 pending student health submissions. So I'm going to click there, and you'll see it took me in my menu tree to health custom fields, merge student health submissions. I'm going to click on my student. If there was an update to what this parent wanted the school to know, change. There was nothing there before. May have got new glasses. Does your student take any medications? Previously, there was nothing there. And now, yes, that my student takes Tylenol. So I can uncheck this if I don't want to include this in the record or keep it checked. And then I can accept all of them or reject all of them, whatever it is that you want to do. If you have a school nurse at your school, this might be a task that you would want the school nurse to complete. Then they would see any of those notes coming in from parents. They'd be able to call and follow up as they needed to. But I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And again, it pops to the top of my list, and then it would help let you work your way through all of the lists for modified students. Do we have any questions about merging student health data?
There are no questions.
Okay. I think we're on to tracking that family registration progress. So this is a great feature I'm excited to show you about. So you can utilize the online registration progress dashboard. With online registration in full swing, you need a way of knowing who still has to fill out forms, pay their lunch balances, and complete that process. With JMC's online registration progress dashboard, Office Pros have a convenient report that includes the registration completion status for all families, lunch and tuition and fees balances, free and reduced lunch applications, and more. So in JMC Office, head to Family, Online Registration, Progress Dashboard to view the progress for each of the students in your building. So step one, select the appropriate options to narrow the information in your report from the following drop-down lists. So you have all of these drop-down lists. So you can narrow it down by grade, you can narrow it down by family, by student, advisor. There are so many ways that you can really target this report to give you the information that you want. So like I said, grade, family, so you can find the family or find your students here, advisor. You've got balances. If you've got families that have like outstanding balances, you want to make sure that those get paid. Forms, so parents who still need to fill out or sign off on any forms, and then registration. Have they completed the registration? So lots of ways that you can target this report. The next step, you can click the column heading to sort the report by family, registration status, family lunch balance, family fees owed. So any of these columns, if you click here, you can sort by these options as well. Once you've filtered, then you can come down and sort. Helpful tip, you can utilize any combination of sorting options in either ascending or descending order by just clicking multiple categories. Step three, if you click the little arrow symbol next to a family's name, you can reveal more information about their registration status. So you've got all of these little symbols here. If you click one, it will expand the information and details for this family. So you can get a more detailed look all right from this one page. Step four, you can click the spreadsheet icon in the upper right-hand corner of the report to export your report to a CSV file. Or step five, you can click the reset button to remove all reporting and sort options and return to the default all active student report. Helpful tip, efficiently communicate online registration status by clicking the email finished families, email not finished families, and email filtered families links in the quick link section. So I'll show you how to do that in our live look here in just a sec. Well, right now I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so from my JMC homepage, I'm going to come to JMC Family, Online Registration, and Progress Dashboard. And I need to be logged into my building. There we go. Okay, so again, I can filter by grade, by family, so I can choose a particular family if I want to, and so on and so forth. One way that I used this a lot in the office was I would want to know which families had finished registration and which families had not finished registration, but also which families hadn't filled out their forms. So we would have like a handbook acknowledgement and technology use agreement form. So I would need to know, hey, who hasn't finished their forms? I could take a look that way and I'd see the families that didn't have that completed. But over here are those quick links that I was talking about. You can very easily email all the families who have finished their registration. Quick send them an email. Hey, thanks for filling out, or thanks for completing your registration for the 24-25 school year. Look forward to seeing you in the fall. Similar for families who haven't finished. Hey, don't forget to go online and finish your back to school registration, or whatever filters you set up here, you can email those filtered families. But sort here, filter here, however you would like to. There we go. See, I have some that are done. It's going to sort them up to the top. I can click my little arrow here. I can get more detailed information. I can see, oh, I got forms that aren't done. I don't have any forms that are done. So I might need to reach out to this family to make sure, hey, don't forget to sign your forms that need finishing for your registration. So this is a super helpful tool right here that shows you families who are in whatever step of completing their online registration. So it's a really helpful tool for those office pros to see where their families are at, who they might need to contact, and how many families are done. So that's kind of a quick look there at the progress dashboard. Does anybody have any questions about that?
They do not right now, Rachel. But I just wanted to add that the filtering and sorting options on this page, man, that's awesome. Like you can do everything from right here and just pinpoint the information you want. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm going to show you one more thing while we're here. If I come to this JMC Family online registration form signatures, right here is another spot where I can see, I can select the different forms. So there's a couple that we're asking families to sign. I can see families who have signed it. Clearly, I don't have a date here and I don't have a signature. So I know I maybe need to reach out to these families. Or if a family comes in and they just want to sign something in the office, I can come right here and I can say, hey, I'm going to record a paper signature. I select the contact who's come in to do that. And I can say that they signed it right here. And if a student is also signing it, that the student signed, I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. And I'm going to hit save. And now I can see that we've got a paper signature on file. So if a family signs electronically, you'll see that electronic signature right here. If they come in and sign a paper form, I can see that there as well. So this form signatures page is a super helpful one as well. All right. And it just doesn't look like we have any questions about processing that back to school registration data. So we're going to start wrapping up with some JMC news and upcoming events. We have got a busy schedule coming up. Next week, we're going to be looking at understanding GPAs, and we have another one of those Minnesota MCCC EdFi work sessions. The last week of May, we're going to talk JMC grading from goals to details and integrating with Direct Admissions Minnesota. Starting out in June, we've got your all-in-one solution, as well as welcoming new users to JMC. And the second week, we're going to have another info session on that Minnesota MCCC EdFi reporting. And did someone say ice cream social? We did. We're hosting a pre-summer conference social hour with games, giveaways, drinks, munchies, and a brainstorm on JMC's family and teacher portals in Minnesota on June 17th and in Iowa on the 19th. If your school sends the most attendees, you'll win a loaded ice cream social. So scoop up your tickets today. And we've got robust, new, and ready to use our JMC Community Messenger. If you'd like to enable email and text-to-voice messaging while giving all community members the power to stay in the know on district news, how and when they want it, add JMC's Community Messenger portal for just 42 cents per student. You can email sales@jmcinc.com today. And you can, if you're looking to turn your back to school chaos into calm, cool, and collected, literally collected with JMC's online registration tools, you got your first step here. Actually, this maybe be your third step. So we've got the 411 on handy registration collection templates, creating crystal clear health questions, and enabling e-signatures. So you can catch this session and the previous two sessions on our YouTube training channel. And we've got reasons to cheer here, our new general store portal. Are you rah-rah ready to boost school spirit? That's what the general store portal is all about. It'll take you from a daunting pile of order forms to a fully customizable online store, complete with detailed order tracking and reporting. Stay tuned for the fall launch. And it looks, we're about to wrap up, but it looks like one more question popped in here at the last minute. How do I merge or link students' data to other departments like the library in my school? That is a great question. And I'm wondering if we might be talking about integrating with a library system. So I would encourage you to email that question to training@jmcinc.com and we can get you an answer from there. All right. So I think now that we got all the questions wrapped up, on behalf of myself and Amy and everyone here at JMC, thank you for attending this webinar and thank you for choosing JMC.